Right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Amelia Wright, and I've been practicing medicine for over 25 years here in the UK. Today I want to talk to you about something rather extraordinary that I've been recommending to my patients, particularly you, gentlemen over 50, for quite some time now. It's clove water, and before you switch off thinking this is just another health fad, I need you to hear me out. Because what I'm about to share with you is backed by proper medical science and, more importantly, by results I've witnessed firsthand in my own surgery. Now, I know many of you have probably seen videos claiming that drinking cloves will give you the stamina of a racehorse overnight. That's absolute nonsense, and frankly, it does more harm than good because it sets unrealistic expectations. What I'm going to tell you today is the truth, the whole truth, based on over 2 decades of clinical experience and the latest research. I'm also going to answer the questions that nobody else seems to address properly, particularly around safety, because that's what matters most. Let me start with something that happened in my surgery just 3 months ago. A gentleman, let's call him Robert, came to see me. He was 68, struggling with inflammation, digestive issues, and frankly, feeling rather run down. His blood work showed elevated glucose levels, and he was concerned about developing full-blown diabetes like his father had. I suggested he try clove water alongside his regular treatment plan. 8 weeks later, Robert came back for his follow-up appointment, and I must say the improvement was remarkable. His inflammation markers had dropped significantly, his digestion had improved, and his glucose levels had stabilized. But here's what struck me most. Robert told me he felt like himself again for the first time in years. Now, I'm not saying clove water is a miracle cure. It absolutely isn't. But what it can be, when used correctly, is a powerful addition to your daily health routine. You see, cloves contain a compound called eugenol, and this is where the magic happens, if you will. Eugenol is an incredibly potent natural anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial agent. It's the same compound that dentists have used for decades in dental procedures because it works. Over my 25 years in practice, I've watched countless health trends come and go. Most of them were rubbish, quite frankly, but clove water is different. It's been used in traditional medicine for thousands of years, and now modern science is catching up and confirming what our ancestors knew instinctively. The difference is, we now understand exactly how and why it works, and more importantly, how to use it safely. Let me walk you through the 5 most significant benefits I've observed in my patients, particularly you chaps over 50, because that's when these issues tend to become more pressing. First, and this is crucial for all of you, clove water is brilliant for supporting your immune system. As we age, our immune response naturally becomes less robust. That's just biology, I'm afraid, but cloves are extraordinarily rich in vitamin C and other antioxidants. When you drink clove water regularly, you're giving your immune system the tools it needs to function properly. The eugenol in cloves is particularly effective against harmful bacteria and fungi. I've had patients who were constantly coming down with colds and minor infections start drinking clove water, and their frequency of illness dropped noticeably within a couple of months. Second, digestive health. Now, I know this isn't the most glamorous topic, but gentlemen, if you're over 60, I dare say most of you are dealing with some form of digestive discomfort, whether it's bloating, constipation, indigestion, or that general feeling of sluggishness after meals. Cloves naturally stimulate the production of digestive enzymes. They help your stomach and intestines break down food more efficiently. Plus, they're high in fiber, which keeps everything moving along as it should. I've had countless patients tell me that their chronic constipation improved dramatically within 2 to 3 weeks of starting clove water. Third, and this is particularly relevant for those of you managing diabetes or pre-diabetes, clove water helps regulate blood sugar levels. The manganese content in cloves plays a crucial role in reducing glucose concentrations in the blood and improving insulin sensitivity. Now, let me be absolutely clear. This doesn't replace your medication. If you're on diabetes medication, you continue taking it. but clove water can support your body's natural ability to manage blood sugar. Several of my diabetic patients have seen their HbA1c levels improve over time, though of course results vary from person to person. Fourth, pain management and inflammation. This is where cloves truly shine, in my opinion. Whether you're dealing with arthritis, general joint pain, headaches, or even dental pain, the anti-inflammatory properties of Eugenol can provide genuine relief. I've had patients with chronic shoulder pain, knee arthritis, you name it, report significant improvements. One gentleman, quite similar to a comment I read online actually, had been suffering from frozen shoulder for months. 3 weeks into drinking clove water daily, his pain had reduced by more than half. Now, was it just the cloves? Perhaps not entirely, but it certainly played a role. Fifth, cardiovascular and liver support. Your liver works tirelessly to filter toxins from your body, and over the decades it can become somewhat overwhelmed, particularly if you've enjoyed a pint or two over the years, which most of us have. Clove water supports liver function by reducing oxidative stress. It also has mild blood-thinning properties, which I'll come back to in a moment because that's important. This can be beneficial for circulation and overall heart health. Now, here's where I need to get quite serious with you, because this is information that most videos conveniently leave out, and it's absolutely critical. Cloves have blood-thinning properties. This is due to the eugenol content. If you're taking any form of anticoagulant medication, warfarin, aspirin, clopidogrel, any of those, you must speak to your doctor before starting clove water. I cannot stress this enough. The combination could potentially increase your bleeding risk. I actually came across a rather intelligent comment online from someone dealing with a blood condition called thrombocythemia. He explained how he uses cloves specifically for their blood-thinning properties under medical supervision, starting with just 2 cloves daily and gradually increasing to 5. That's the right approach. He monitors his blood work regularly. That's exactly what you need to do if you have any blood-related conditions. Similarly, if you're scheduled for any surgery, even something minor like dental work, you should stop taking clove water at least 2 weeks beforehand. Again, bleeding risk. And gentlemen, I know some of you might think your wife or partner could benefit from this too, but if she's pregnant, cloves are not recommended. They can stimulate uterine contractions, so pregnant women should avoid them entirely. There's also been some concern about liver toxicity with excessive clove consumption. Now, the key word here is excessive. At the doses I recommend, which I'll give you in a moment, this isn't a concern for most people. However, if you already have liver disease, cirrhosis, hepatitis, anything of that nature, you need to discuss this with your doctor first. The same goes if you have stomach ulcers or severe acid reflux, because cloves can sometimes irritate the stomach lining if you overdo it. Right, let's talk about how to actually prepare this properly, because I've noticed there's quite a bit of confusion about this online. People asking how many cloves to use, whether they can use a microwave, how long to store it. So let me give you the exact protocol I recommend to my patients. You'll need 5 whole cloves and 200 milliliters of water. That's just under a standard mug. Now, don't just chuck the cloves in boiling water and call it done. Here's the proper method. Put your water in a small saucepan with the 5 cloves. Bring it to a rolling boil. Then reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. This is crucial. You must cover the pan whilst it's simmering. Those vapors that escape contain a good portion of the beneficial compounds. You want to keep them in the liquid, not floating off into your kitchen. After 10 minutes, remove it from the heat and let it cool. Now, here's what the original video got wrong. You don't need to wait 2 hours. 30 minutes to an hour is perfectly sufficient. Once it's cooled to a drinkable temperature, strain out the cloves, and there you have it. Can you use a microwave? Well, one chap asked this because he's a lorry driver without access to a stove. Technically, yes, you could heat water with cloves in the microwave, but you won't get the same extraction of compounds. Boiling and simmering extracts more of the beneficial eugenol. If you absolutely have no other option, microwave it for 2 minutes, let it sit covered for 10 minutes, then strain. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Now, timing. When should you drink this? I recommend first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, about 15 to 20 minutes before breakfast. This allows maximum absorption. Some people ask about drinking it before bed. I strongly advise against it. Cloves can be quite stimulating for some people, and drinking it close to bedtime may interfere with sleep. If you want a second dose, have it mid-afternoon, but no later than 4 or 5 p.m. How long can you store it? Freshly made is always best, but if you need to make a batch, you can store it in a sealed glass container in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. No longer than that. If it starts to smell off or develops any cloudiness, throw it out and make a fresh batch. What about dosage progression? If you're just starting out, don't jump straight to 5 cloves. Start with 2 or 3 cloves for the first week. See how your body responds. Some people experience mild stomach upset initially, though this usually passes. After a week, if all's well, increase to 4 cloves. After another week, you can go to 5. 5 cloves per day is what I consider the maximum safe dose for most people. Don't exceed that thinking more is better. It isn't. With cloves, more can actually cause problems. Can you combine cloves with other spices? This was quite a popular question. Yes, you can. Cloves pair particularly well with cinnamon and ginger. In fact, I often recommend a combination for patients with significant inflammation. You'd use 2 cloves, a small piece of fresh ginger about the size of your thumb, and half a stick of cinnamon. Same preparation method. This combination is especially good for digestive issues and blood sugar management. But start with just cloves first. Get used to that, then experiment with combinations if you like. What about clove capsules versus clove water? Several people ask this. Capsules are convenient, certainly, but you lose some of the benefits. When you prepare clove water, you're extracting the water-soluble compounds. When you chew or swallow cloves whole, or in capsule form, you get different compounds, including the oil-soluble ones. Both have benefits, but they're slightly different. If you're looking for digestive and general anti-inflammatory benefits, I prefer the water. If you're focused on oral health or want something more convenient for travel, capsules can work. Speaking of oral health, one clever fellow mentioned he puts cloves between his cheek and gum, similar to chewing tobacco, but obviously far healthier. This is actually brilliant for dental pain and gum health. The Eugenol directly contacts your gums and teeth, providing local anesthetic and antimicrobial effects. If you've got a toothache and can't get to the dentist immediately, this is a proper home remedy that actually works. Now, I want to address something I've seen causing quite a bit of anxiety online. There's conflicting information about whether cloves are good or bad for your liver. Some sources say they support liver function, others warn about toxicity. Here's the truth. At normal dietary amounts and the doses I've recommended, cloves are hepatoprotective. That means they protect your liver. They help reduce oxidative stress and support the liver's natural detoxification processes. However, clove oil in high concentrations or consuming massive amounts of ground cloves daily, that can potentially cause liver damage. That's why I recommend clove water at the doses I've specified. You get the benefits without any risk of toxicity. One woman asked if ulcer patients can drink clove water. This is tricky. Cloves have antimicrobial properties that can actually help fight H. pylori, the bacteria that causes many ulcers. However, the stimulation of stomach acid might irritate an active ulcer. If you have an active ulcer, I'd say wait until it's healed before starting clove water. If you have a history of ulcers but don't have one currently, start with a very low dose, 1 or 2 cloves, and monitor how you feel. Let me share a few testimonials, because I think it's important you hear from real people, not just from me. In my practice, I've documented numerous cases, but I've also come across some honest accounts online that align with what I've observed. One gentleman said he'd been drinking clove water before bed for 7 days, and his inflammatory conditions were beginning to disappear. Another chap, 83 years old, brilliant age, said he found the information so useful he was starting immediately. There was one particularly detailed account from someone managing thrombocythemia, which is a type of blood disorder. He explained how he chews 5 cloves daily on an empty stomach, swishing them under his tongue for better absorption. His platelet counts improved significantly over 4 weeks. He noted, very responsibly, that anyone on blood-thinning medication should consult their doctor first. That's exactly the kind of sensible approach I want to see. Another person mentioned relief from frozen shoulder pain after 3 weeks, using 3 to 4 cloves boiled in water. He noted that excess cloves can cause overheating, which is true. That's why moderation is so important. Now, let's talk about mistakes people make, because there are quite a few. The biggest mistake is drinking clove water immediately before bed. As I mentioned, it can cause insomnia in some people. At least 2 hours before bed, preferably longer. Second mistake, using too many cloves thinking it'll work faster. It won't. It'll just upset your stomach and potentially cause problems. 5 cloves maximum. Third mistake, not covering the pan whilst boiling. Those vapors contain beneficial compounds. Keep them in the liquid by covering your pan. Fourth mistake, expecting overnight results. This isn't a magic potion. You need to be consistent. Most people start noticing benefits around the 2 to 3 week mark. Some see results sooner, some take longer. Give it at least a month before deciding whether it's working for you. Fifth mistake, not consulting your doctor if you're on medication. I cannot emphasize this enough. Cloves can interact with blood thinners, diabetes medications, and potentially others. Always check with your doctor first if you're on any regular medication. Sixth mistake, using ground cloves instead of whole cloves. Ground cloves lose potency quickly once the package is opened. Whole cloves stay fresh much longer and give you more consistent results. Plus, with whole cloves, you can see exactly what you're using. Some ground products might contain additives or be stale. Right, let me give you a realistic expectation of what you might experience. In the first week, you probably won't notice much. Maybe slight improvements in digestion. Don't be discouraged. Your body is adjusting. By week 2 or 3, most people report better digestion, more energy, and if you are dealing with pain or inflammation, you might start noticing some relief. By week 4 to 8, the more significant benefits become apparent. Better blood sugar control, more consistent energy levels, reduced chronic pain, improved sleep quality, and just generally feeling more like yourself. One thing I want to stress, clove water isn't a replacement for proper medical care. If you have a serious health condition, you need proper medical treatment. Clove water is complementary. It supports your health. It doesn't cure diseases on its own. Think of it as part of a comprehensive approach to healthy aging, alongside proper diet, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and appropriate medical care. I'm quite keen on people taking charge of their health, but I'm equally keen on people being sensible about it. Don't stop taking your prescribed medications. Don't skip your checkups. Don't ignore new symptoms thinking clove water will sort it out. Use it as part of a broader strategy for maintaining your health as you age. For you gentlemen specifically, there's some evidence that cloves may support testosterone levels and prostate health. The anti-inflammatory properties can help reduce prostate inflammation, which is common as we age. However, if you're experiencing urinary symptoms or other prostate issues, see your doctor. Don't try to self-treat with clove water alone. But as part of your overall prostate health strategy, it can be beneficial. What about children? Someone asked if children can take clove water. Generally, I don't recommend it for children under 12. Their bodies are still developing, and we don't have robust safety data for children. If you have a teenager with specific health issues, discuss it with their doctor, but it's not something I'd give routinely to youngsters. Can you drink it twice daily? Morning and afternoon, yes, that's fine. Morning and evening, I'd be more cautious because of the potential sleep disruption. If you do have it in the evening, make it at least 3 to 4 hours before bed and see how you respond. Everyone's different. One more thing that bears mentioning: where you source your cloves matters. Buy whole cloves from a reputable supplier. You want organic if possible, because you're going to be consuming this daily. Check the expiry date. Old cloves lose their potency. When you open the jar, you should get a strong, distinctive aroma. If they smell weak or musty, they're past their best. After 25 years in medicine, I've learned that sometimes the simplest interventions are the most effective. A cup of clove water costs pennies, takes 15 minutes to prepare, and can provide genuine health benefits. It's not going to give you the strength of 100 horses, as that ridiculous title suggested, but it might help you feel more comfortable, more energetic, and healthier as you navigate your later years. I encourage you to try this for 30 days. Keep a little journal if you like. Note how you feel each week. Track any changes in your energy, digestion, pain levels, whatever is relevant to you. At the end of 30 days, assess whether it's made a difference. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you do try this, I'd love to hear about your experience. Share your results. Ask questions. Let me know how you're getting on. And if you found this information helpful, do pass it along to your mates who might benefit. We're all in this together, trying to maintain our health and vitality as we age. Remember, the goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to live well, for as long as we're here. Clove water is one small tool that can help you do that. Combined with good nutrition, regular movement, staying mentally engaged, and maintaining social connections, you're giving yourself the best chance at a healthy, active life well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Right then, that's everything I wanted to share with you today about clove water. I hope I've given you clear, honest, medically sound information. No hype, no nonsense, just the facts as I've observed them over more than 2 decades of practice. Stay healthy, stay active, and I'll see you in the next one.